Hello everyone, here we are with chapter number 4 from your textbook, that is Laws of Motion. According to your marking scheme, most important chapter without option for 7 marks, with option for 10 marks. So we have to learn this very carefully. We are going to divide this chapter for this lecture like in 3 sessions. For this session we are going to discuss about these all things. That is, we are going to discuss about branches of kinetics, types of motion, Newton's laws of motion, importance, inertial, non-inertial force, types of fundamental forces and their properties, contact and non-contact forces, real and pseudo force, conservative and non-conservative forces. Let's start one by one. Here we are going to start with types of motions. Now we know that what is motion? When body is continuously changes its position, then that is said to be like a body is in motion form. Now we know that in mechanics of this motion, there are two branches. One when body is at rest and one when body is in moving form. When body is at rest, we call it as a static position or static motion. And when body is in moving form, body is in motion, which deals with actual motion, that branch of this mechanics is called as second branch, that is kinetics. Now, kinetics again divided into two branches. First of all, kinematics and second one, dynamics. Let's start with kinematics. In this kinematics, we can describe various motions without discussing their cause. Various parameters discussed in kinematics are distance, displacement, speed, velocity, acceleration. And when we describe the motion along with its cause, then it considered as the dynamics position, like force or torque or energy or work or power or momentum. With cause, when we are going to discuss motion, then that is dynamics, and without cause, that is kinematics. Now we know that the motion is strictly a relative concept. It means in contrast to a reference frame, we are going to describe that. For example, if we consider moving bus, any moving object, then when we consider bus at that time, bus plus all passengers are in motion. But if not random, motions in real life may be understood separately as some types. We are going to discuss that types now one by one. Starting with linear motion, when initial velocity may be 0 or non-zero. If initial velocity is 0, that is when particles starting from rest, acceleration in any direction will result into a linear motion, that is straight line motion basically. If initial velocity is not 0, the acceleration must be in line with initial velocity for resultant motion to be linear. Second part, that is circular motion. If initial velocity is non-zero and acceleration is throughout perpendicular to the velocity, the resultant motion will be circular. In simple form, when particle moving along its own circumference, that is called as circular motion. Third particle, the third type, parabolic motion. That is, we already had discussion on motion in a plane called as the trajectory or projectile motion. If acceleration is constant and initial velocity is not in line with the acceleration, the motion is parabolic. For example, we can take projectile motion. Next one, rotational motion. When particle is moving around its own axis, then that type of motion is called as rotational motion. Therefore, I think this is more than enough for these all basic types. Moving towards next point, we are going to discuss about Newton's laws of motion and their importance. Here, before starting with Newton's laws of motion, let's go through some basic history of this. एरिस्टोटल नाम का एक साइंटिस्ट था. उसने हमें क्या बताया? An external force is required to keep a body in uniform motion. It means to keep the ball moving with the constant velocity, we have to apply the continuous force on it, right? So, when we consider this thing or this statement at that time, अगर बॉडी को हमें मोशन में रखना है तो कंपल्सरी उसके ऊपर हमें क्या अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा? फोर्स अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा. जब हम बॉडी के ऊपर का फोर्स निकाल देंगे, बॉडी क्या हो जाएगी? बॉडी स्टेडी पोजीशन में आ जाएगी बाय डैम्पिंग ऑसिलेशन और बाय डैम्पिंग एनर्जी. इट मीन्स उसका एनर्जी धीरे 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 क्या होता जाएगा? लॉस होता जाएगा. This explanation of Aristotle's fallacy was first given by Galileo, and then later it was used by Newton to formulate Newton's laws of motion. Galileo showed that all the objects stop moving because of some resistive or opposing forces like friction, viscous drag. Some forces are in the frictional form, some forces are in a viscous drag form. Thus, in reality, for an uninterrupted motion of body, an additional external force is required for overcoming these opposing forces. ये तो सारा हिस्ट्री हो गया. न्यूटन ने फॉर्मुलेट क्या किया ये अभी हमें देखना है. We are going to start with Newton's first law of motion and then importance. Let's start. According to Newton's first law, which is law of inertia, every body or object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. The language from your book: every inanimate object continues to be in its state of rest or of uniform accelerated motion unless and until it is acted upon by an external unbalanced force. Now, why this law is important? Let's discuss importance of Newton's law of motion. This law shows an equivalence between state of rest and state of uniform motion along the straight line, as both need a net unbalanced force to change the state. It gives us, or it defines, force as an entity that brings about a change in the state of motion of body, and it defines inertia as a fundamental property of every physical object by which the object resists any change in its state of motion. Here, in simplest form, mass is the measure of amount of matter in an object. Inertia is a property of an object that describes how much it will resist change to the motion of the object. More mass an object has means more inertia the object will have. This is enough for first law. Now let's move towards second law of motion. It's F is equal to ma. Rate of change of linear momentum of a rigid body is directly proportional to the applied force and takes place in the direction of the applied force. In mathematical form, F is equal to ma. Force equals mass times acceleration. Now, importance of this second law of motion. It gives Mathematical formulation for quantitative measure of force as a rate of change in linear momentum. It defines momentum instead of velocity as the fundamental quantity related to motion, and Aristotle's fallacy is overcome by considering resultant unbalanced force. In short, force is equal to mass into acceleration, and here we are going to take force as a rate of change of momentum with respect to time, that is dp upon dt. Third law of Newton: for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. Now you can see that explanation throughout this picture. You can see there is one book on a table. Here there are two ends, a table to book and a book to earth. Here force of attraction between book and the earth is vertically downward, and reaction force of table on book is vertically upward. They both are equal but oppositely directed. The importance of this: it defines action and reaction as a pair of equal and opposite forces acting along the same line. Action and reaction forces are always on different objects. In this diagram, action force is in between earth and book. At that same time, reaction force is in between table and book. So both objects are different, but they are having equal and opposite reaction on themselves. So when we consider these all things, at that time, we know that there are few consequences also of these all forces. According to that, there are few types takes place, and we are going to discuss that types and difference in between one by one. Let's start with first type, that is inertial frame and non-inertial frame. Reference. Let's start with inertial frame of reference. We are going to begin with normal example. Let's consider we are standing on a railway platform or a bus stand, and we are steady, but train or bus is moving. According to us, the train or bus is moving or it's in motion. But according to the experience of passenger in the train or bus, they are at rest and we are moving. It means motion itself a relative concept. To know or describe a motion, we need to describe some reference. Such reference is called as frame of reference. Now, we are going to discuss about that two types according to Newton's law of motion. The first law of motion, law of inertia. Inertial frame of reference. A frame of reference either at rest or moving with a uniform velocity or zero acceleration is known as inertial frame of reference. What is non-inertial? It is a frame of reference which is either having a uniform linear acceleration or is being rotated with uniform speed. Inertia frame of reference are those reference frames in which Newton's laws are valid, but non-inertial frame of reference are those reference frames in which Newton's laws are invalid. In inertial frame of reference, zero force corresponds to zero acceleration. In non-inertial force, zero force doesn't correspond to zero acceleration. For example, a train moving with uniform velocity is an inertial frame, and a freely falling elevator may be considered as non-inertial frame. तो basically आप ये समझो, जो लॉ ऑफ इनर्शिया दैट इज न्यूटन्स लॉ ऑफ मोशन विच इज फर्स्ट लॉ ओबे करता है, दैट इज इनर्शियल फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस, और जो ओबे नहीं करता दैट इज नॉन इनर्शियल फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस. Now we are going to discuss about, there are few more forces in nature which are applied for different objects as a different examples, as a different applications. Let's start one by one. There are mainly four interactions that are termed as the fundamental forces. First one is gravitational, then electromagnetic, then strong nuclear, and then weak nuclear force. Let's start one by one. First of all, we are going to start with gravitational force. It is the attractive force between any two objects in the universe. It is because of virtue of their masses. By Newton's law of gravitation, the gravitational force is directly proportional to the product of masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. It is the weakest force among all the fundamental forces of nature, but has the greatest large-scale impact on the universe. Unlike the other forces, gravity works universally on all matter and energy and is universally attractive force. You can see it over here. W is equal to mg, also known as weight, the force with which the earth, moon or other massive body attracts an object towards itself. आप यहाँ देख सकते हो, यहाँ सैटेलाइट टूवर्ड्स अर्थ आ रहा है, यहाँ पे हम ये न्यूटन समझते हैं, उसके ऊपर एप्पल गिर रहा है, यहाँ पे कोई हवा में आराम से तैर रहा है. सो दीज ऑल थिंग्स बिकॉज ऑफ द अट्रैक्शन, फोर्स ऑफ अट्रैक्शन बिटवीन बॉडी एंड दैट पर्टिकुलर अर्थ सरफेस called as the gravitational force. The second force which we are going to discuss is electrostatic and magnetic force, that is electromagnetic force. It is an attractive or repulsive force between electrically charged particles. It is the force between charged particles such as the force between two electrons or the force between two current carrying wires. It is attractive for unlike charges and repulsive for like charges. The electromagnetic force obeys inverse square law. It is very strong compared to the gravitational force. It is the combination of electrostatic and magnetic forces. You can see it over here. Electrical and magnetic forces, force that exists between charges called as the electrical. For unlike, it's attractive. For like, it's repulsive. Magnetic forces, we know all properties of magnet. The force which exists in magnets makes magnets attract or repel towards objects. So this is about electromagnetic force. Moving towards next, that is strong nuclear force and weak nuclear force. We know that strong nuclear force is strongest force that binds the nucleons together inside the nucleus. Throughout strongest, it is having very short range. Therefore, it's very strong attractive force and charge independent. Exactly opposite to this weak forces, it is the interaction between subatomic particles that is responsible for the radioactive decay of atoms, in particular beta emission. The weak nuclear force is not weak as the gravitational force, but much weaker than strong nuclear and EM forces. The range of weak nuclear force is like 10 raised to minus 16 meter in order. So in short, we can see it over here. Gravitational force, then electromagnetic, then strong nuclear, then weak nuclear. Let's discuss one by one. For gravitational force, the associated property is mass. Effect, all masses attracts each other. Range is infinite but weakness with distance. Carrier particles are gravitons. Relative strength 10 raised to minus 34. For electromagnetic, the associated property is electric charge. Opposites attract, likes repel. Infinite but weakness with distance. Carrier particles are photons. Strong nuclear force, its color charge. These colors combine to make neutral combinations. 10 raised to minus 15 meters as a range, and gluon are carrier particles. Weak nuclear force like weak charge. Massive particles decay to lower mass particles as an effect. 10 raised to minus 18 meters. This is the range, and W and Z are carrier particles for these forces. It means quarks and leptons. You can see it over here. According to their strength and range, strong nuclear force is strongest force in nature, then electromagnetic, then weak nuclear, and last weakest force, gravitational force. I hope you understood with these all concepts. In short, there are four fundamental forces present in nature: gravitational force, electromagnetic force, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. According to their working, their range, their strength, the strongest force in nature is strong nuclear force. Then second one is electromagnetic force. Then third one is weak nuclear force. And last one is gravitational force. Moving towards next concept, here we are going to discuss about contact and non-contact forces right now. For some forces like gravitational force, electrostatic force, magnetostatic force, physical contact is not an essential condition. These forces exist even if the objects are distant or physically separated. Such forces are non-contact forces, and when forces are formed or occur only due to contact are called as contact forces. All these are EM in nature, that is electromagnetic, arising due to some deformation. So let's moving through the difference between them. Contact forces arises due to the contact between two different objects. Non-contact forces arises due to attraction or repulsion between two objects. There is no contact between them. In contact forces, there is no field associated with a contact force. There is always a field associated with a non-contact force. This force takes immediate effect after the applied force. This force takes more effect after decreasing the distance between two objects in non-contact. For example, for contact, the force exerted on a book which is placed on a table. For non-contact, free fall of feather towards earth. You can see one or two simple examples over here. Pushing and pulling or friction between any two bodies are examples of contact forces. Force of gravity is non-contact force. You can see few examples. As a contact force is applied force, spring force, drag force, frictional force, normal force also. Interactions between objects that touch. And in non-contact forces, attract or repel even from a distance, we can consider magnetic force, electric force or gravitational force too. So this question might be there for 2 marks, that distinguish between contact and non-contact forces. Moving towards next, that is conservative and non-conservative forces. Here we are going to discuss about what is conservative and what is non-conservative force. For that, if we consider an object lying on the ground is lifted and kept on a table, neglecting air resistance, the amount of work done is work done against gravitational force and it is independent of the actual path chosen. Similarly, gravitational force, while keeping the same object back on the ground from the table, the work is done by the gravitational force. In either case, the amount of work done is the same and it is independent of the actual path. If work done by or against a force is independent of actual path, it is conservative force, and when it is depend on actual path, that is called as non-conservative force. For example, we can see it over here. Positive work done by this kind of force always changes the kinetic energy of the body and do not on path in conservative force. But exactly opposite to this, positive work done by this kind of force is also always changes the kinetic energy of the body, depends on the path. Negative work done by this kind of force decreases the kinetic energy in conservative. In non-conservative, negative work done by this kind of force also decreases the kinetic energy. Conservative force, this decrease in kinetic energy of the body gets stored as potential energy. But in non-conservative force, kinetic energy of the body gets dissipated as heat and sound. Work energy theorem can be change in kinetic energy or change in potential energy. But here, it's only change in kinetic energy but not in potential in non-conservative. In short, for conservative forces, work done is independent of the path. For non-conservative forces, work done depends upon the path. For conservative, work done in a round trip is 0. For non-conservative, work done in a round trip is not 0. For conservative, total energy remains constant. For non-conservative, energy is dissipated as heat energy. For conservative force, work done is completely recoverable. For non-conservative, work done is not completely recoverable. Last one, conservative force is negative gradient of potential energy. But in non-conservative, there is no such relation exist. So this is all about conservative and non-conservative forces. Again, the question might be there for 2 marks. Differentiate conservative and non-conservative forces. Now, during this process, if friction or air resistance is present, additional work is necessary against the frictional force. This work is strictly path dependent and not recoverable. So when we consider non-conservative force, the work done against non-conservative forces are not recoverable even if the path is exactly reverse. You can see it in this diagram also. All relations given for work done, kinetic energy and potential energy too. Moving towards next point, that is what is real force and what is pseudo force. Here we know that, let's consider a normal example. When we are inside a bus, such forces are experienced when the bus starts to move. When the bus is about to stop or takes a turn, at that time we experience some kind of different force. In all these cases, we are inside an accelerated system. Right? So when we consider these two examples, at that time some forces which we can calculate, which we can feel, which we can find out. But there are few forces which are like we just feel but we cannot calculate. They are fake forces, they are non-real forces called as a pseudo force. So let's just moving towards difference in between. Real force, the force which is produced due to interaction between objects is called real. One which arises due to the acceleration of observer's frame of reference called as pseudo. Real forces obey Newton's laws of motion, where pseudo forces do not obey Newton's laws of motion. Real forces are one of the 4 fundamental forces. Pseudo forces are not among any of the 4 fundamental forces. When we consider these forces in above conditions do not satisfy their description and cannot be called real forces, hence they are called as a pseudo. It does not mean they are imaginary, but just they are non-real forces. For example, in real force, the earth revolves around the sun in a circular path due to gravitational force of attraction between the sun and earth. As a pseudo force, we can take bus is moving with an acceleration on a straight load in forward direction. A person of mass m experiences a backward pseudo force of magnitude ma. So this is all about real and pseudo force too. So in this lecture, we had enough discussion on kinematics, dynamics, types of motions, then laws of motion and their properties, their importance. Then we had discussion on inertial and non-inertial frame, their difference, fundamental forces, their properties, their difference, then real, non-real force, that is pseudo force, then contact, non-contact force, then conservative and non-conservative force too. This is all about today's lecture. In next lecture, we are going to discuss about work energy theorem, principle of conservation and many more. Let's stop here for today.